actually draw any cards that turn. Same thing, you know, I've seen this with Sylvan Library before. You replace the draws, you didn't draw any cards. So Room for the Trap's never going to get trapped. And even if you somehow live to the point, you're going to cast Room for the Trap on them. You're going to get them. It's going to be awesome. It's Pyromancer Ascension copied. They're just going to activate Phantasmagoria a bunch of times and just discard their entire hand.
I think it's actually an 100% unwinnable matchup.
Yeah, I think it's definitely up there with. I think the only one I've ever seen was like last at Pro Tour Amsterdam. You know, the main deck Angels Grace deck against Hive Mind.
Yeah. The Mystical Teachings deck.
Yeah, main deck Mystical Teachings Angels Grace deck against Hive Mind.
Yeah, that deck is good luck.
Yeah, it was. I figured out. I kept thinking that Hive Mind had a way to win. And I just kept thinking, wrong. All the way until, well, maybe they'll deck first. Except for Angel's Grace makes it so Hive Mind decks first. Yeah, all the way through 60 cards of do nothing till decking first happens. That was the problem.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, actually unwinnable. Always interesting to see how those things play out. That was certainly one of them. But now, I think this is a very winnable matchup for both players.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, so close here. And then in the finals, so you think maybe we get the edge to Alex here slightly? Caleb could win.
I think the finals is anyone's game. It could be
finals anyone's game, yeah.
So let's say Caleb wins. How's Caleb versus Manalist Dredge? Probably good?
Maybe.
We don't even know on that one. Okay.
Well, like Manalist Dredge is a big mystery because none of us have seen it play very much.
No,
none of us really know
we don't
how
really
fast
know
it can be.
Yeah, exactly.
We essentially just saw a Goldfish game.
Yeah.
So this is a good story. So we just got told. So the reason why the quarterfinal or semifinal matches take so long is Brian Boss has to look at Nick Rausch's entire deck because he has no idea what any of the cards do based just on the decks, except for the obvious dredge cards.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much faster than a bunch of Oracle wordings, but it's still very comical.
It's like, so what's a Shambling Shell, Phantasmagorian, Gigapede? What is going on?
What are all these creatures in your sideboard? Oh yeah, the part of the deck we didn't really discuss. The sideboard is 4 Contagions and then 11 Singletons to Dread Return.
Yeah, and it's worked out well for him so far. Found him all the way in the semifinals of the tournament. Yeah. If you want, we did a deck tech on him. You can find it on StarCityGames.com in the tournament portion in the coverage of this event. Yeah. And it's pretty well detailed. The whole deck list is there. Yeah. You can check out what he's doing. People have been clamoring on Twitter all day to see this guy play again. This is finally your chance. If you've been waiting to see the Manless Dredge play, it's about to play for you guys. Yeah. As soon as Brian finishes and figure out all the cards in the deck do.
Okay, so Caleb versus Manalist Dredge, no idea. Alex versus Manalist Dredge, no idea.
I think it's same.
Actually, I think Alex might be behind in that matchup.
I think Manalist Dredge is just the big mystery box right now.
I think that the reason Alex beat the last Dredge player was because he did everything that Manalist Dredge doesn't do and lost to Forceful because of that.
Right.
I think that Manalist Dredge is going to do what Manalist Dredge does, and that's going to be good. So I think Nick would have a favor against Alex. I think Brian versus Alex. I know could go. I
think could go either. I think it's top four is anybody's ball game.
Yeah, it really is. It's the worst matchup's still probably perfectly winnable for Alex. Sometimes Progenitus hits play and you die.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, I'm pretty sure at least one of the creatures in the sideboard is good enough against that. Maybe I think there's like Blazing Archon and Lawan? Yeah, there's Lawan and yeah, there we go. Blazing Archon and Lawan.
Actually, let's go over the deck list real fast for this Manalist Dredge deck so you guys know what you're getting into before you watch this. So here's the deck list. 3 Dakmor Salvage. That's the end of the lands. 4 Bloodghast. You guys hopefully know what that one does. 3 Gigapede.
So realistically, what this card does in this deck, the only ability that pretty much matters, if it's in your graveyard at the beginning of your upkeep, you can discard a card to rebuy it.
Into your hand.
Into your hand. It happens to be a 6-punch Shroud, which is marginally relevant for Dread Return, but we're not even going to mention mana cost on these cards, are we? Yeah.
It's pretty irrelevant. Could cost anything.
Golgari Grave Troll.
You know that one.
Pretty standard dredge card. Golgari Thug, pretty standard dredge card again. That's the one that dredges 4. It's the 1/1 when it dies. You put a creature from your graveyard on top of your deck. It only costs 2, so in theory you could start casting that card, but that's a stretch.
Let's be realistic.
4 Icarid, I'm pretty sure that one's a pretty common one. 1 Iona, 4 Narcomoeba, 4 Nether Shadow.
Yeah, this is one you might not know, and this is one that requires some interesting, make sure you keep things all straightened out while you're playing. A lot of Dredge players like to rearrange their graveyard. You can't do that with this Dredge deck.
You can't do that at all in Legacy, because there are cards like this that make graveyard order better. What Nether Shadow reads is, it's a haste 1/1 that at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 3 or more creature cards above it in your graveyard, you can return it to play under your control. Again, it costs black. In theory, you can cast it at some point. But it's basically, you have Narcomoeba, Bloodghast, Ichorid. It's your 13th through 16th copies of that kind of card.
Yeah, so once again, if you have 3 creatures above it, it comes back into play in your upkeep. Also worth noting, when you dredge, you get to order how the creatures are stacked.
In each dredge, you don't just flip them off the top. So you dredge a Grave Troll. You get to stack those 6 cards however you want. But if you're, it doesn't come up in this deck, but if you're dredging, if you dredge a Grave Troll and then a Stinkweed Imp, they're all individual instances. You have to stack each of those individually.
With like a Street Wraith or something like that.
Okay. Let's see. There are then 4 Phantasmagorian.
4 Phantasmagorian.
It is a 6/6 creature, so that can be dread returned. But its ability is more important. It's discard 3 cards from your hand, return this from your graveyard to your hand. You discard it to your turn to Gigapede, and then you discard 3 cards, and you start dumping more and more cards. 3 is an important number. We just talked about Nether Shadow. It dumps 3 creatures right on top of Nether Shadow. I think we figured out there are 45 creatures in this list, so that's pretty much always 3 going to be in your hand.
4 Shambling Shell, just dredge 3 basically.
Yeah, dredge 3. You can't even cast it. You're not going to dread return.
It's a black creature.
Yeah, it is a black creature for Ichorid.
4 Stinkweed Imp, you know what that one does. 4 Street Wraith, you probably know what that one does.
1 Woodfall Primus. This one's a bit uncommon in these kind of decks, but it's definitely been played. It's a 6/6 Tree Folk with Persist, and when it comes into play, you destroy a non-creature tournament. So Nick won the die roll and decided to draw.
How unsurprising.
Yeah, new era of Legacy. I'll draw first.
Yeah.
So the spells in this deck: Bridge from Below, Cabal Therapy.
Spells.
Yeah.
Bridge from Below is a very nice spell. I've cast it exactly once in my life.
Really? All right. Have you cast it?
Yeah. So here we are going into the semifinals of the Star City Games Open Series Legacy portion here in Ohio, Cincinnati to be specific. On your right, you have Nicholas Rausch playing his manaless dredge deck. He chose to draw first. He's discarding Gigapede, and once again, Gigapede, you can discard a card in your upkeep to return to your hand. I would predict he's going to discard a card with the dredge mechanic.
I think that probably was a prerequisite for him keeping his hand. But, you have 16 dredgers. You're always going to hit one pretty much.
Yeah, mulliganing with this deck is the worst.
19 Darkmoor Salvage. He was talking about that. He's just, you have 19. You just never can mulligan with this deck.
Yep. And so Brian Boss is playing the Junk Depths deck. The Junk deck that also has a Dark Depths combo with Living Wish on both ends.
Yeah. This matchup should be really interesting. I think that... I don't know, actually. I was going to say that Thoughtseize might be an important card, but, that's only really against traditional dredge, where you can hit their breakthroughs or careful studies to take them off their hand size. Against this deck, you might just be stuck looking at, Gigapedes and Phantasmagorians, which you really don't want to be looking at.
I think there are a number of cards you could take turn 1, and that essentially time walks your opponent. If you take like a Nether Shadow or Bloodghast on the first turn, or
Nether Shadow, Narcomoeba, Ichorid. Let's see, that's Bloodghast, Ichorid, Iona's 9.
There's a Living Wish from Brian Boss. He's getting Bajuka Bog.
Cannot be Cabal Therapy, unlike Living Wish, and that's important.
Very important. That Bajuka Bog is just going to hang out there. And the way Nicholas Rausch's deck plays out is it plays out very much like a grind-em-out dredge deck. And so we'll see how he does to fight the hate. He's going to discard Stinkweed Imp in his upkeep, mill 5 cards.
Narcomoeba, Dread Return, Thug, another Dread Return, and a Bridge from Below. It's going to be really interesting because I think Brian Boss's goal here might actually be to life from the loan back that Bajuka Bog a ton of times, just start looping Wasteland Bajuka Bog and just have that lock.
Sure. That's certainly a way you can do it. I mean, the Bajuka Bog is really going to be really good here.
Yeah, just getting that into your hand is probably one of the keys. Let's see. Looking at other cards, so...
And now you guys... This might be a little confusing because Nick's deck plays nothing like a traditional deck. There are no real phases of the turn. There's not much untapping that happens.
Yeah.
So
I just looked through the deck list, and it seems that Thoughtseize is pretty reasonable here.
Yeah.
It's going to about half of the deck. So Nick's pretty much guaranteed to have a card in his hand that you can Thoughtseize and not have to put a Dredger or discard outland into his graveyard. So that's going to be pretty important. Basically a time walk on turn 1. I'll start counting for Inquisition and Kozilek in a second, but you got the play-by-play for it?
Yeah. So Brian is dropping down Horizon Canopy, and there's a Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf gets really big really fast against the Dredge deck, so that guy's going to be pretty huge.
Yeah.
Nicholas is keeping his graveyard at the bottom of the screen, just so you all are curious. If you're looking, well, where's Nicholas's alleged gigantic dredge graveyard? That's where it's hiding at.
It's going to start spawning out further and further.
Yeah.
Inquisition's probably also going to be really good. There's about a third of his deck that can be taken by it. That's a complete blank when it's in the graveyard, or marginal blank.
Well, and more importantly, all the cards that you want to take cost 3 or less too. So you
no, not Dread Return, not Iona, not Street Wraith. Street Wraith's a big one.
Sure.
And not Woodfall Primus.
Well,
Though I'm pretty sure if you have Street Wraith, they'll just cycle in response.
So Nick dredges a Grave Troll. I saw at least one Nether Shadow there.
Yeah, the only non-foil cards. It looks like another Narcomoeba. This game looks like it's going pretty well for Nick.
Well, it's going well for Nick, except for the fact that Brian does have that Bajuka Bog in his hand.
That is true.
And say Brian lays that Bajuka Bog next turn, that essentially time walks Nick.
It's looking like it's. Is there an Icarid in there?
There is an Icarid in there.
There is an Icarid, then it's probably about time to do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bridge hiding in there too.
Yeah, exactly.
I would just go for it now.
Yeah. Hit with the Tarmogoyf first, obviously.
If I were Nick, I might consider flashback.
Don't hit with the Tarmogoyf.
I might consider flashback in that Cabal Therapy. Which he does.
Upgrade. I think the 1/1s might be important. Give you a couple turns against a token, but get over the top of Tarmogoyf. We'll see. It's only one zombie, so. No.
I think he just predicts that Brian's going to Bajuka Bog him, and he wants to be able to
get max value, I guess.
Yeah,
he does have the Wasteland, so he can circle life in the Lone Loop. He has a Swords. I can't see what else. I think you have with his Swords that Narcomoeba right here. I don't think you. Oh, I guess Cabal Therapy named, so he named the wrong card then. I keep thinking it's a real card like Duress. No, it's a free one that you don't have to do anything about. Gigapede, it's the graveyard, it looks like. No, not Gigapede.
Alright, so he's going to Swords the zombie token. Isn't it better to Swords the Narcomoeba?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Why would you Swords the zombie token over the Narcomoeba?
That doesn't really make sense because that Tarmogoyf is still going to be a 2/3 after the attack.
Yeah.
Maybe he's worried about the damage on the swing back. Maybe he wants to just start cracking it with that Goyf, get the clock on the way. So I think that Bajuka Bog's happening right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's Bajuka Bogging, and I'd rather just get rid of the Narcomoeba because that card is going to generate Bridge from Below tokens later on.
Yeah, he pulls the Bajuka Bog forward.
I mean, I would attack first.
No, you don't want to attack first because then he gets a zombie token on the block.
Oh, sure. So that's a 2 though, still, right? Yeah, still a 2.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to give him a zombie token. Yeah. Makes sense.
Nick goes back down to 20.
All right. So Nick's sitting at 20. Brian Boss at 18. Nick's graveyard just got exiled, which means that he's essentially a turn behind.
Yes.
He'll have to start doing everything again next turn. So Brian Boss
is it at a Living Wish again?
2 turns in a row. That's the Living Wish. What's he gonna get here?
Let's see. He has Wasteland. No, he's not going to get Wasteland in this matchup. No, not Galaxy. Probably just another. It's either another Tarmogoyf or a Vampire Hex Mage, I think. Maybe a Dark Depths. Dark Depths, I could see something.
Dark Depths just to try and set up the combo. Although there's an Narcomoeba over on Nicholas' side of the board.
I mean, one Narcomoeba is not going to. The Dredge deck's not going to kill that fast from 0. So.
Yeah, I know for sure. Just makes swordsing that Narcomoeba even more attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't understand that sequencing. Maybe he forgot about the +1 from the swords going to the graveyard and just looked at his 1/2 Tarmogoyf and wanted to get in there.
That's very fair too.
Looks like a Hex Mage.
Alright, so we got Hex Mage here. It does double duty of turning off Bridge from Below.
Yeah, that's very important. That's probably the right call. And not even that, it just attacks. And it looks like Ryan Moss is going on the beatdown for now.
Right. It also will just create a 20/20 at some point.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens.
Nicholas discards Gigapede. That's one of his enablers.
Keeps discarding Gigapede first so that he can make the decision on his upkeep what to do.
Right, and doesn't give any information over to Ryan Boss unless he has to.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's basically Brian's turn again, or it is his turn again. He just got that one for free because Nicholas can't do anything on his turns unless he's got cards in his graveyard.
Yeah.
And now Brian has the Wasteland. If he can
Brian
find a life
does have another
loam,
Tarmogoyf too. If he has another life in the loam, he has the lock. But I think that what's going to happen is he's just going to start beating down with this Hex Mage and these these Tarmogoyfs. Horizon Canopy does not cost him 1 life on that because of Urborg, so...
Yeah, the old-time Spiral Block trick. You can also tap fetch lands and all that good stuff. There's the Wasteland.
Does not cost him 1 life, contrary to the life totals. Looks like there's going to be a Dredge Grave Troll here. See what it pulls up.
All right, so Grave Troll comes back.
Did that Goyf only get in there for one last round for some reason?
Should have been 3, right?
Should have been 2. Yeah, should have been 3.
Yeah, because of Gigapede.
Yeah, the first hit put him back down to 20. There we go. I just thought he was already at 18.
Yeah.
Hits a Bloodghast, a Nether Shadow that's going to come back next turn. Looks like a Thug, a Stinkweed Imp, Street Wraith, and a Darkmoor Salvage.
And Nicholas said that he played against a bunch of blue-white decks or similar today, and those matchups were insane for him.
Yeah, they really have nothing. I was watching a blue-white deck play against him, but they were boarding a Meddling Mage.
Wow.
Yeah, this deck has 8 spells. That's it.
Man, that's insane.
You guys look tired.
Let's see. So the question here for me is, what is Nicholas's plan? Because he can dredge a bunch of cards, but doesn't know what he's going to hit, so he has to kind of construct what his plan is going to be, and how he's going to deal with 2 Tarmogoyfs, Vampire, Hexmage. Like, that's a pretty quick clock, especially when those
Tarmogoyfs get bigger and bigger with every dredge.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe they're up to only 3s now, assuming that I was correct on which cards were dredged, and that's not a bridge from below.
Yeah, Titan points out something. Titan the Titan points out something on Twitter that we had talked about earlier. If you have Bajuka Bog and Wasteland and Life from the Loam, you just lock out the dredge.
Yes.
The game is over because they can't do anything more. You time walk in with Bajuka Bog, then you Wasteland it, you bring it back, you do this every turn.
Yeah. So he cycles that Horizon Canopy, see what's there.
So Life from the Loam is a card that actually has quite a bit of value in this matchup, despite what you might believe. And Brian crashes in. Those Tarmogoyfs are pretty big right now.
Yeah, just 3/4s actually, but
3/4s?
that's big enough. Life total at 17, this hits easily. I can see this being lethal in 1.
I guess there's no bridge from below hiding down there.
And there's a Future Sight card, but I think it's a Street Wraith.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Street Wraith too. Yeah, that's Street Wraith. Doesn't have enough text to be bridge from below.
Ben Weinberg nodding his head in agreement.
Serves in for 8. Nick has decided what he's going to do with this Narcomoeba here.
I think you have to keep it. I think
Yeah,
your
I think
game
you have to
plan is
keep it
to get a bridge token out of that guy, and that's how you're going to win.
I agree with that entirely. See if Brian has any other plays. Nope, Brian just passes the turn to Nick.
Possibly get a break token like X-Range play.
Ben does point out that Hexmage is going to show off a bridge, but even doing that, you're going to, if you block, you then get Hexmage on the block as opposed to just throwing it away on the block. It might even be worth more damage later too, because those Tarmogoyfs might grow on this one. Maybe blocks 3 damage here, but it's going to block maybe 4 next turn. Golgari Grave Troll comes back. Looks like a Phantasmagorian, Street Wraith, Gigapede, another lots of Phantasmagorians and Iona. So let's see if what Nicholas has in hand is what he needs to get back into this game.
Yeah, so he's got the Phantasmagorian action.
He has a Nether Shadow in hand, so...
Let's see. So he's got some Nether Shadow there. Huh. What's the play? Well, I think Brian is really far ahead here. Nick's going to have to play tight. So, discards Cabal Therapy, Bloodghast, and Nether Shadow.
Yeah, that next Nether Shadow may be active by next upkeep, may not be, but regardless, if he's going to win this game, it's going to have to come back into play.
Yeah, I mean, depends what cards he has to discard from Phantasmagorian. Depends what he can, he's okay discarding. I don't know how he's going to get himself out of this situation. I mean, the thing about this Dredge deck, it just doesn't have the explosiveness that the other Dredge deck has, so you just kind of do these small little incremental things. And there's no bridge in the graveyard right now, right?
Right.
So, I mean, those blocks won't help him. I guess Nether Shadow will come back, and that can block pretty nicely.
Yes.
But
I'm assuming that's why he's waiting on putting 3 more creatures in with Phantasmagorian.
Right.
Just get this other Nether Shadow down and back.
Yeah, precisely. Let's see.
A lot of interesting cards in this dredge deck that you don't usually see.
That probably, very rarely grace the tables of Star City Tournament. Phantasmagorian, Gigapede.
A lot of cards that no one playing, I guess people call it real Magic, would ever play.
Right. I mean, that's what all the dredge deck is. Cards no one playing real Magic would ever play. Except for maybe Cabal Therapy and
Careful
like
Study.
Bloodghast. Careful Study. Well, none in this list. But.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Nick blocks both those dudes.
Yep.
And Hexmage is going to knock Nick down to 7 life.
Prime Boss looking at his hand.
And now Nick can discard 3 cards of Phantasmagorian to make sure that all of his Nether Shadows return.
Get him a couple chump blockers.
So it brings back Phantasmagorian, discards 3 cards. Discards Phantasmagorian, Phantasmagorian.
Or Gigapede, Phantasmagorian, and Golgari Grave Troll, the cards, I believe.
There we go. And so now he's going to get back 2 Nether Shadows, or 2 Nether Shadows, yeah.
Yes. Probably just wants to dredge the Grave Troll, get the as deep as possible, and let's see.
And so discards Dread Return. So Nicholas could potentially set up the
Iona.
Dread Return. Yeah. Iona. Shield of Mira. The question is, of course, what color do you pick? It's a 3-color deck. Iona's not the most insane card. Dredge, Dackmore Salvage. There's a Bridge from Below. And Bridge from Below in the graveyard. Plays Dackmore Salvage, triggers all of his Bloodghasts. And now we have an active Dread Return. So he can Dread Return something back, get 3 2/2 zombies in the process. Alright, he's going to sacrifice 1 to Cabal Therapy.
Brian Boss looked like he was pretty far ahead, but things might turn around right here.
Yeah, now we might have to be looking for either a Life from the Loam or a Living Wish to make a 2020 token.
Yeah. Though he does have the Hex Mage to prevent the last 3 tokens, these Tarmogoyfs, I don't know if they're going to win the showdown against an Iona.
Yeah, that is certainly a problem. So Cabal Therapy resolves. This looks like Brian Boss's hand is 3 lands, so nothing going on there. Dread returning, sacrificing 3 guys, getting some tokens. Returning Iona, maybe?
Let's see. Update from the other side of the bracket. Alex Bertoncini lost game 1. He didn't play a fetch land because he didn't want the life loss. And it turns out he forgot he could fetch up a Dryad Arbor to block an exact lethal attack.
Oh my.
With Progenitus in play.
He did have Progenitus in play too. So it was a game costing error.
So
removes all the counters from that Darkmoor Salvage.
Yeah, so all the counters come off the Dackmore Salvage, and that gets rid of all the zombies coming into play. Now, with that said, I'm not sure I like that play. I feel like one of Brian Boss's outs here is being able to Dark Depths combo.
What color is Iona naming? It all depends. Because he does have swords if he names white, and he does have Bajuka Bog if he names, or other way around, he does have swords if he names green, and he does have the Bajuka Bog combo if he names white.
That's certainly true. I mean, we don't know what color he's going to name.
If he names green or white, he also has Shriek Maw to the board.
Well, he definitely didn't name black as Dark Confidant comes down.
Who did Therapy target? Who would have seen the hand?
Yeah, when Brian Boss got Cabal Therapy, all Nick saw was 3 lands. So didn't name any color based on that. It's unclear what color that Iona is on currently. As we just know it's not black, it's either white or green. So Nick is doing some dredging.
It's an Icarid, Bloodghast, Woodfall Primus, Dread Return, and some other dredge card. Shambling Shell.
Wow. It's really interesting how quickly this game's gone from looking pretty high in Brian Boss's favor to Brian Boss even Bajuka Bog to Nicholas, and suddenly Nick is in a pretty commanding position.
Yeah. Brian Boss just didn't really have the necessary equipment to close fast enough before Nick just recovered from that Bajuka ball.
And Iona serves in, drops Brian Boss to
9 life.
Wow. Iona is on white, so it is, just like on Magic Online, it is the correct color.
Hex Mage.
Flips up Vampire Hex Mage.
Living Wish. Is it a Living Wish for Dark Depths?
Is that what he drew?
I don't know.
I don't think that's what he drew.
There's no way. He's used 2 live. Yep, that is game.
He concedes. Brian Boss down a game. Nicholas Rausch currently up a game in the semifinals with this crazy manless dredge deck.
Got Bajuka bogged game 1.
Yes, Bajuka bogged, which time walked him, got rid of his whole graveyard, and Brian Boss started to get a pretty good beatdown plan together, but just could not string anything else around. He needed to find Life in the Loam or Living Wish or something.
Yeah.
No good. Now, if you're there are 2 extirpates in Brian Boss's sideboard, which you've no doubt coming in here.
Yes.
That can put a hamper on Nicholas Rausch's plans for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you extirpate his turn 1 discard, you just time walk him basically.
Yeah.
You can also do it later in the game. You can hit all of his Narcomoebas, you can hit all of his Blood Gas, Icarids, Dread Returns.
I completely forgot he had extirpates in the sideboard. I was just thinking about the Wish board. He definitely has a lot of gas on the sideboard.
Yeah, I mean,
all the Inquisitions are fine too. Mental Misstep is out. Yeah, that one.
I mean, you can hit Cabal Therapy if you want, but it's definitely not worth it.
No es bueno.
Yeah, so the mental missteps go away. You want to keep the Loams. We decided Thoughtseize is probably pretty good.
Yeah, maybe you just poured in 2 extirpates, 2 Inquisitions. You don't want a ton of those because you can draw them late game and they're not good, but they're good on turn 1 through turn whatever.
So the thing about Thoughtseize is it's good on turn 1. On turn 1, it's really good for you. On every other turn, it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with those Thoughtseizes, if he chooses to leave them in or not.
It's also interesting whether he leaves the Bajuka Bogger board stain. You know, does he want in his deck to draw? He has 4 Night of the Reliquaries in his main deck. It's like he's in 5 cards to draw to get to it, or he could Living Wish for it. Does he want the faster way, or does he want the Night of the Reliquaries?
I like the Living Wish way more.
Yeah, I think the speed might be. I guess he always has a turn 2 before the Dredge deck gets anywhere. So he wants the Living Wish.
Yeah, the Living Wish seems really important. And once again, Brian Boss, assuming he plays correctly, will choose to draw here.
Yes.
And that's great for Brian Boss because he just goes up an extra card, so he gets to see an extra card.
Can he board out a Wasteland here?
He could board out a Wasteland. I mean, Wasteland is fairly dead, although it does help set up the Life in the Loam Bajuka Bog combo.
Yes, but you already have 2. You can Living Wish for it if you need to set up that combo. Something we missed last game that he could have top decked, Caracas to bounce that Iona.
So we'll see what happens. Oh, hey everybody. We're back up here. I'm Gavin Bray here with Ari Lax in the semifinals, watching the semifinals, the Star City Games Open Series here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We just saw Brian Boss lose game 1 to Nicholas Rausch.
Despite Bajuka bogging him.
Yeah, despite Bajuka bogging him out. It's wow.
Seems very far ahead. So I don't think Nicholas boards in any of these sideboard cards here. I don't think that Contagion's very good. Contagion seems like, at best it kills a Bob. You just want all the consistent cards. But you might want something other than Iona or Woodfall Primus. Yeah,
I mean, there's a ton of 1-ofs you could bring in. And we'll see how Nicholas sideboards in the match. Real fast, though, we have some premium to give away.
Oh, yes, we do.
We have 6 months of free premium now. 6 months now, we're also going to give away a Gen Con badge in the finals. Here's how this works. We're going to ask you a question, and then you're going to give us the response in a tweet. Hashtag SCG Premium. Put that somewhere in the tweet in response to our question. And if you answered correctly, we'll choose 1 person to win 6 months of free premium. The question is this. Brian Boss is playing a green, white, black living deck that has access to Vampire Hexmage and Dark Depths. It's like a junk Dark Depths deck. Now, one other player in this tournament that we covered extensively was playing a very similar deck. No Living Wishes in his version, but the same idea. You have Hexmage and Dark Depths, and you have some ways to interact with that. What was that player's name? Who was he? Tell us, and you can win 6 months of Star City Games Premium. All kinds of great content out there, premium. Already giving away a ton of it this weekend. Already giving away a Gen Con badge as prizes too. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned and win here, as well as potentially win the Gen Con badges in the finals.
The other list was real awesome. It had Entomb, and Entomb looked real sick in that deck.
Entomb was pretty sweet. When he showed me the deck list,
you had Bull Rat Stronghold, you could entomb a creature, you could entomb Life from the Loam, you could entomb a land with your Life from the Loams. I think you could get almost every card in the deck except for maybe Swords to Plowshares you can entomb.
I think it might even finish X2. So the deck list may be up on Star City Games. Who knows?
It may or may not be.
But you guys have to tell us the answer to the question. You guys let us know. In the meantime, these guys are still sideboarding. Terastodon probably not coming in.
No. I think he wants Iona though. That is protection from Arrow Lage.
Iona is alright. Sphinx of the Steel Wind doesn't do what he wants. Equal Leviathan, probably not. Elish Nor, no. Blazing Archon, probably not. Ancestor's Chosen, probably not. Chroma.
I think you probably just want, I think you want a Chroma.
Yeah, I think you want a Chroma. It's protection from Dark Depths, right? Dark Depths is black.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I like maybe something in a Chroma here. Yeah. Other than that, I think you probably leave the main deck configuration the way it is. There's not a lot of room of things to play around with.
Okay, and we're about to get started here.
So Brian Boss cracks a fetch land on the first turn.
Gets a Bayou.
So Brian chose to play?
Oh, wow.
So we just... Oh, Brian did draw. Okay.
Oh, well, it looks the same.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it looks the same. There's no land. It's true. I was going to say, man, I was surprised. I thought it was pretty clear you should be drawing here. So Brian draw, and he has the Thoughtseize like we talked about. And, oh, yeah, this is perfect for Brian. He can target that Nether Trader, Bridge from Below, numerous cards. And what that does...
He probably puts the Bridge from... Oh, puts Narcomy, but that's even better.
Yeah, and so what that does is just time walks Nicholas.
Yeah. I was thinking you take Bridge because that one's easier to kill. But, or not easier to kill, but it puts it in the graveyard to die. So, but yeah, Narcomy was just a pure time walk there. That card's never going to really do anything in the graveyard.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That you're like, yes, I want all my discard spells against this dredge deck because they're just time walk. Of course, that's only on the first turn. Later on, they're absolutely dead. So it's a big gambit that you're playing then.
Yeah, if he has another discard spell here, that could get real ugly.
And we're probably gonna have to start quieting down here because players can start.
Yes.
Places emptying out.
Looks like a Tarmogoyf coming into play here. Looks like a Tarmogoyf. Nick gets a Golgari Gravetoll.
So a report from the other half of the bracket, Alex Bertoncini lost.
So Caleb's Aquarium makes it to the finals.
So Caleb is swimming with the fishes in the best way possible in his aquarium in the finals.
Yes, that's a top 4 and now a finals appearance in 2 days for Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb absolutely on fire.
Yeah, Caleb wanted to leave just seeing his quarterfinals match, but the split got no-sirred by someone.
Yeah, who was the only person that didn't take the split? His opponent, Ben Weinberg.
And he crushed him 2-0. So back to this game, it looks like Brian Boss has Life from the Loam going with Tarmogoyfs. Nicholas Rausch just has the Golgari Gravetoll in graveyard. Brian Boss is probably going to try and just get the racing really fast here before this everything gets out of hand. Probably before Nicholas hits a Phantasmagorian to discard those Bridge from Belows.
Looks like it's hit Gigapede, some Dredge cards, Deckmo Salvage, Cabal Therapy. Yeah. No creatures, which is a big deal.
No Phantasmagorian, I think.
Phantasmagorian, another big deal.
Yeah.
The other thing here is Brian has Life from the Loam going, so if he finds a Living Wish, he could potentially set up the game state we're talking about with Bajuka Bog, Wasteland, Life from the Loam to lock out Nick.
Looks like Brian has a Mazabith in his hand and some other lands, but nothing else. Nicholas discards a Stinkweed Imp, and Brian untaps. So Habiyo's Goyf, sorcery, land, creature.
I don't think there's any instance. Sorcery, land, creature, maybe. I think
there's no instance in this deck, so yeah.
Just 3s, I think. So that serves for 6, still reasonable. Oh, there's the Living Wish.
Oh, wow.
So
I think it was off the top.
Bajuka Bog is going to knock out Nicholas's graveyard. I think that should be able to take the game, right? Because that's...
He has the full lock, yes.
Well, he doesn't have the Wasteland, does he?
He does. It's in his hand.
Oh, he does have the Wasteland in his hand? Okay, so he has the lock now.
Yeah.
And
the lock, yeah.
I mean, plus Nicholas is going to be down to 5 life this turn.
Yeah, it's...
And, yeah, should be good. So, Brian attacks for 6 here, I believe.
Yep.
And then Loam's back. Plays Wasteland. He'll Wasteland the Bajuka Bog. Loam back the Bog.
It's unfortunate for Nick that he has to discard a creature card this turn to even threaten getting anything going, because that accelerates the clock by a turn.
All right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did board in Stormtide Leviathan, which is worth noting.
Interesting. Maybe he just assumes that the Dark Dex combo isn't going to happen, or Merit Lage does have flying here, so.
Yeah, Merit Lage does have flying, although it does stop all the Tarmogoyf beatdowns that Brian Boss is hoping to offer.
It's kind of funny. We've been talking about Merit Lage having flying so much more than it was talking. We were talking about it having indestructible. But every story I hear about that card is always like, my opponent played a Wrath of God and destroyed all the Thought Profounding tokens. Then I attacked him with my Merit Lage token.
It is indestructible. All right, so now Brian's going to dredge that Loam, and now we can just go Wasteland on Bajuka Bog, Return Bog, and Wasteland. Yeah. And basically every 3 turns, I believe.
Every 2 turns.
Every 2 turns, you can Bajuka Bog his opponent.
Yeah, it's every other turn, which is just enough. Nicholas only gets 1 dredge activation. His graveyard is never getting out of control.
And, yep, going to tap some mana, Loam him back, Bajuka Bog away Nicholas's graveyard.
Floated a mana off the bog, so it only costs effectively 1.
Right. And I think that should be lights out for Nicholas. Attacks with the Tarmogoyf. That should bring Nicholas down to 2, and then there's nothing really Nicholas can do.
Yeah, this looks over.
Yeah,
it is over.
Game
actually.
2 is over.
There actually are no cards in Nicholas's deck that he can cast as of now.
There actually is no cards in Nicholas deck he can cast, really, but... not even a Contagion would have saved him. Yeah. So, looks like we're going to be going to Game 3 here. Game 3. And Nicholas is going to be on the draw this time. One of the few decks, he's like, yeah, I'll be on the draw. Please, let me draw. So Nick is going to draw. Brian Boss is going to be on play. So the question is, how does Brian change his deck with this information? Does Thoughtseize become worse now?
I don't think so. I think it's just the same. You're casting it on 1 as opposed to casting it on 1.
You have 1 less card to find it.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
Once again, if you have
I think these mental missteps are 100% dead, and you're boarding in Inquisitions regardless.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're boarding Extirpates for sure. That's 2 cards.
Yeah. Something that Ben Weinberg pointed out, maybe he wants the Tarmogoyf in his deck. He's never going to Living Wish, where he's got this Bajuka Bog, this Hexmage, this Depths that are all earlier targets, even the Shriek Mode just to kill bridges.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that there are other things that he might be boarding in from that package. I mean, I think the Extirpates definitely come in, and then you maybe board in, like, once again, the Tarmogoyf, maybe
I think
the Gaddock Tea or something, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I think this deck's a little too grindy, not enough Dread Return to really warrant Gaddock Teague.
But I think the discard is an interesting question, because once again, it's very good on turn 1, but it's useless after that. So where do you draw the line?
I think I want 2 Inquisitions. I might be okay with up to 3, but I just don't think there's a card I want to board up. Mox Diamond, Swords is fine, Life from the Loam is fine, Thoughtseize is fine, Living, which is great. Tarmogoyf, Hexmage, Knight of the Reliquary, Dark Confidant. Like, the only card I'd board out... Nothing. Actually, just nothing. Don't want to board out a land either.
So you just want to board out Mental Missteps? So just those are the only 4 cards you want to move?
I think so. I think that's where it's at.
So then 2 Extirpates plus 2 Inquisitions? Alright. Heading into...
Game 3 over here.
Game 3 indeed. Oh man. So, who do we think has the edge here after watching 2 games play out? We've seen Brian Boss Bajuka Bog both times. Game 2 he set up the lock. Game 1 wasn't able to.
I think Brian Boss has yet the Hexmage this match, so I think that he's going to duck this Hexmage and win this one.
Very true, very true. Off we go. It is close, interesting. Watching Nick Rausch's deck play is just something else. Never really seen a deck like this in action before. I mean, in Legacy, there's of course, in Vintage, there's of course the Bizarre Baghdad dredge deck, but that's so far different from anything like this.
The Bizarre Baghdad dredge deck is the best of both worlds, really. You've got the strategy of this dredge deck where you just never play a spell. But then you also have, the other dredge deck. You activate Bizarre, you are drawing extra cards. You are getting this explosive start.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is play Bizarre in that deck, and you mulligan until you hit Bizarre, right? That's how it works. You literally write a computer program to do this.
You can literally I've seen the deck in testing, I was watching someone play. They kept a 1-card hand and won handily.
Yeah,
oh,
it's good.
bizarre. Activate. Oh, drew, discard, grateful. Go, dead.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, the list, I think, had serum powder just so you could see more hands.
Yep. Yeah, totally true. Yes, vintage dredge. Now this is nothing like that. You have to do it the hard way. Draw, discard a card. Draw, discard a card, and go from there. All right, so players drawing their opening hands, see what they think. Nick can't mulligan. He's just snap keeping whatever hand he sees.
He can mulligan some hands. If there's 0 dredge cards, you might mull.
I think even if there's no dredge cards, maybe you have to keep it.
No, you have to draw the dredge card off the top, and I think you're better off, waiting an extra turn. I think 16 dredge cards, the odds of you hitting it on your first draw step are less than the odds of your 6-card hand having a dredger. And so, if the odds of you missing versus the, I think it's you're highly favorable just to go to 6, keep a hand with a dredger, and just wait another turn.
There's Inquisition for Brian Boss.
Let's see.
Well, let's see what he's
there's
got.
Another shadow,
Okay,
so that's going to be a time walk.
So he for sure has a hit. Yep. So he's going to time walk him.
Sphinx of the Steel Wind came in.
All right.
I noticed how he sets another shadow aside.
I think there was one card he could take, and it was another shadow.
Well, there's Stinkweed Imp. I don't think
Oh,
really.
yeah.
I think we're good. We're good.
Man, if he didn't have that another shadow, it could have been disastrous.
Yeah.
But he did. And so Inquisition takes the another shadow. And then let's see. Taps 2. Down
There's the
comes
Hex
Hexmage. Go.
Living Wish.
Does he have it?
He has a Living Wish, I think. I think this may be exactly what I was talking about.
So Brian Boss might very well have the turn 3 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas discards a card. Brian could just
that is
go
it right there.
untap. He untaps slowly, like some clockwork evil destruction weapon, slowly unwinding.
Breaking the ice, you might say.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
For breaking the ice, and you see it drilling down. Like people looking for oil, except they're looking for Merit Age.
Yeah. I don't think anyone really looks for Merit Age.
Merit Age just finds them.
Yes.
If that's a living wish, Brian Boss absolutely does that here. All right,
Attack for 2.
All right, sure, attack for 2.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Maybe he has to sword something.
All right. Does he have it? Are you sure he has got living wish?
I thought I saw it. I have no idea what
If he
card.
had it, I'm sure he would have played it by now.
I don't.
I mean, is he worried about Narcomoeba?
I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
he could just go living wish for Bajuka Bob.
that first card. It just looks. I can't fully see it, but I'm like 90% sure that is a Living Wish.
I think maybe what happens is Brian Boss has it, and he has to figure out if he wants to living wish for Dark Depths and do that thing, or just go with the Bajuka Bob game plan.
I think you just go for it.
I mean, I would just go for it for sure. Oh, there it is. Brian Boss slams it down. I think he's going for the Dark Depths.
Let's see.
That's it.
Hey, Glenn.
He's looking at the bog in the depths. That's exactly what I thought. Yes, he's choosing which mode to take. Basically, it's if he hits Narcomoeba or not. No.
He has Hexmage. What's Dark Depths?
Just get Dark Depths, and I think he's good. The only way that he doesn't win is if he dredges 6 and hits, or dredges and hits. Oh, he gets Bajuka Bog.
Okay.
I don't like that.
I don't know.
Unless Brian has another. If Brian has another Living Wish, that's fine.
He has a Knight.
Hey, Glenn, I lied.
He has a Nether Reliquary? Well, that's very similar.
It's a bit slower though. I mean,
I just don't even think playing the Bajuka Bog there is that good. I mean, yeah, okay, you kind of like. I mean, you time walk, but you're not really getting that far ahead.
yeah.
I would have just went for it.
Yeah. Is that a Life from the Loam? You just have Life from the Loam. Maybe he's just setting up.
Setting up the combo.
Yeah, maybe he's setting up all the angles. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you play another Reliquary here and you've got Loam in your hand, you can just lock him out of the game next turn, right? I mean, either way, Brian Boss seems in a pretty good position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Cycling Street Wraith.
Yep.
And going to Dredge 5. Nicholas Rausch dropping to 14. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he flips a Bridge
There's an
Removal,
Archimedes.
Archimedes,
Interesting note, last card would not have hit. Had an additional draw step there. Oh no, he gets to dredge again this turn. Wow.
Yeah, still gets to dredge again this turn. Oh, it has another street race.
This is like real dredge suddenly.
The double street race draw.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now,
maybe he was right. You know, that Nether Shadow could have come back here off those street race, and that would have resulted in a dread return happening this turn. I think we're Sphinx of the Steel win. I don't know if that's enough, but it's something.
I mean, I don't know if you could count on Nick, having double street race.
I mean, sure. He knew about one. I might have known about both of them, though. He did see his whole hand.
Oh, that's right. You know what? That's true. We
didn't really get a good look at it.
We didn't really look at his hand. Yeah, we just saw him take another trade real fast. But Brian Boss might have had information, which is fair, I suppose. Wasn't even thinking about that. So, I think he has the knight. You said he has the loam in his hand, right?
Yeah.
So he can still set up the combo and kill him, or not kill him, but lock him out of the game.
Yeah. Is that a Phantasmagorian coming back?
So Phantasmagorian is returning, but as long as he can Bajuka Bog this turn, which he can thanks to that Knight of the Reliquary, Nick should be out of the game.
Yeah.
That's a lock every turn.
Yep. Or not every. It's every turn 3 times, but it's all
every
you
other
need.
turn. But it's
well, no, with the knight you can do it 3 times on that turn.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly what you need.
Yeah. Is that a take a Phantasmagorian?
All right. So discard some cards, do a little dance.
I think he might be moving. Did that Nether Shadow just hit the graveyard? I don't think he gets. Oh, these were end of turn street race. Oh wow.
Oh my goodness. That was all happening in his end step. It's crazy. Street wraiths are nuts.
Street Wraith does too much.
It's
and
not
by too much, I mean exactly though.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
It's so hard to keep track of where the game is when your opponent just has a graveyard.
Yeah. No permanents on tap. The permanents come to play on tapped.
Man. Let's see. Alright, so now he can potentially flashback Dredge Return and get some tokens.
Hexmage is just going to stack to get the tokens out here, I think.
Yeah, Hexmage will deal with any bridge and blows. Ryan still seems like he's got the game, though.
There might be a Sphinx of the Steel one coming in. This knight might have to play defensive duty for a little bit. I don't know. We'll see.
He can eventually find a Maze of it, though, right?
Right, exactly. That's another Narcomoeba.
That's fine.
I think this army might also just chill in play. You want a bunch of guys.
Alright, so Nick is going to Cabal Therapy Brian.
Does not know about this life from alone, so.
And even if he names Loam, he can just stretch it back, right?
I think you just stack Hexmage here. Just give it the leash over tokens.
Yeah, I don't know how many bridges are there, but I would also just crack Hexmage.
I think it was 2. I was not keeping perfect track. And the graveyard slowly inched its way off the screen. It looks like there's at least one that I can see. Looks like he has a Goyf, and I think that's a Loam behind it.
Well, the zombie token's in place. It looks like Brian let it resolve.
Maybe it's possible he's setting up so that he keeps the Hexmage in place so that after he Bajuka Bogs him, he has to go get Dark Depths and set up a real thing.
Sure. But the Bajuka Bog, well, maybe it's not lethal if he's got a bunch of random stuff hiding in play.
I think you're supposed to not let it. I don't know.
Alright, well, we'll see what happens here.
This looks like either a Phantasmagorian or an end step.
Alright, or maybe it's just some lowly attacks.
Yeah.
Yep, sacrificing some
This
things.
is a Dread Return.
This is a Dread Return.
No, it's not a Dread Return.
Apparently changed his mind. I think you still want a Dread Return. Because
this is really interesting. Nick has been Bajuka Bogged 3 out of 3 games and has played at least 2 of them. So that's another Cabal Therapy.
Cabal Therapies, get another thing.
Tarmogoyf.
Okay.
It is a low.
So he does have a loam. This deck is so weird.
Yeah, it's.
I feel like House of Mirrors is just so disorienting.
Yeah. I mean, normal Dredge is already odd enough as is, and then you're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
This looks like it's about to be Dread Return.
Alright, now things are getting a little dreadly.
sacrificing a zombie token. Red return, targeting, I'm presuming, Sphinx of the Steel Wings?
Alright, so now what is Brian going to do? He's committed himself so far to letting those tokens come into play.
Yeah, I think if that's your plan, that's your plan.
I mean, if your plan is Dark Depths, you can probably beat the tokens.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't, I don't know. I mean, Sphinx of the Steel Wind plus some random tokens.
Well, Sphinx is going to have to chump block on the first turn. I mean, I know I was talking to Nicholas, I was talking to Brian, or was it Kenny? Yeah, it was Kenny, actually. Wrong person 3 times. Long day. Kenny was saying that his goal was to make Emrakul go on chump block too. The Sphinx of the Steel Wind's not quite an Emrakul, but it's close enough.
It's a little different. We'll see what happens. What color does Sphinx have protection from, to clarify?
Not Merit Lage.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it was not
It's
black.
green.
It's green.
Is the relevant one. Green and red.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Non-Esper colors.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, so Brian examines something of Nicholas's, and there's so many things to play. Alright, Sphinx of the Steel Wind enters the battlefield. Some tokens come out to play. And now what's going on?
Let's see.
Nick's turn is still not over.
This Icarus still has to do something. Icarids. My bad.
Did not see the second one off screen.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, the double Street Wraith draw certainly makes that pretty explosive. Makes me wonder if you just want to play, like, you know,
Gitaxian Probe?
yeah, 4 Street Wraith, 4 Gitaxian Probe, and just speed the deck up.
I think you might want to. I don't know what the minimum number of dredge cards you can play is. I don't know if you want to what you'd cut, but it's worth considering for sure to play some good Gitaxian Probes.
Yeah.
I actually think that Brian should sack the Hexmage. He cannot Dark Depths next turn unless he just can't Dark Depths next turn, actually. So he's going to have to do something about this hit.
Now he's going to get tokens from those Icarids, too. Yeah, I really like sacrificing that Hexmage to get rid of all those bridges.
How many zombies is that in play?
I think that's 3 or 4 zombies. But plus that Icarid's going to die, too, so that should be 5 zombies, I think.
Looks like, looks like there's some multiple zombies under the Open Series logo.
Yeah, I think that's 5 zombies.
Darkmoor Salvage gets back to Bloodghast, and
Wow.
looks like we might be seeing a dredge deck in the finals.
Why is that Icarid still in play? Yeah, why is that Icarid still in play?
Icarid.
Icarid should not still be in play.
Icarid should be a zombie.
The Icarid needs to be a zombie.
Yeah.
Okay, he got
There
it.
we go. We got it.
Okay, the gas is zombie token. Yeah, I think not sacrificing that Vampire Hexmage was a gigantic mistake.
Yeah,
Because he can maybe get around the Sphinx of the Steel Winds.
yeah. Mazavith can hold it off, and then you can get somewhere. You still have the Bajuka Bog block. You won't be able to do anything, but
But he's not going to be able to fight 6 or 7 2/2 tokens.
yeah, that much power is just not going to realistically be.
Otherwise, you just Bajuka Bog lock him, then you get like Mazavith or something, right?
Yeah. Well, so here we go. I think the line that he has to go through with is tap Knight, Florida mana, get a. Oh, he tapped his green mana there. I don't think he's going to. Maybe now he's going to go for the Dark Depths. Nicholas is still in range of taking this, like, the Sphinx get life gain happens, and he still does die to a Dark Depths hit.
Right? I mean, he has used up some of his Dark Amoebas. Okay, so Brian just passes the turn, plays the Goyf, passes the turn. And we'll see how the dredges happen.
There are 5 zombies in play.
It's possible that Nick can attack with his Sphinx. Or does Sphinx have Vigilance? No, it does have Vigilance, right?
It does, but if he attacks with this, if he attacks,
If he attacks with it, it gets eaten by
yeah,
a 2020.
just munched immediately.
He's just munched by an Elder God.
Yeah. And
Is that legendary?
Merit Lage is legendary.
yes.
Alright, so I think return to Phantasmagorian, discard hand, put back Icarids. I don't know if Brian Boss can survive this attack step.
Yeah.
Maybe does Brian have a removal spell for that Sphinx of the Steel one?
Path to Exile, maybe.
I mean, we saw his hand last turn, and he made him discard Tarmogoyf, so he drew Tarmogoyf. So he would have to rip the removal spell.
Yeah.
If he survives this turn, which I'm not even convinced he can do, he would have to rip the removal spell.
Yes.
Alright, so flip a bunch of cards.
Blazing Archon.
Blazing Archon, huh?
Doesn't look like there's another Dread return, however, so.
Oh man. Yeah, this Mana Stretch deck is something else to watch.
Yeah, really is. Yeah, I can definitely see, Street Race definitely, the first card can't be counter or anything, but I can see Gitaxian Pro being great here.
Yeah. The judge is explaining some of the foreign cards to Nicholas.
There's Brian.
Let's see. Alright, so here we go. Munch attack with a bunch of things. Okay, so the Sphinx of Steelwind is getting in there.
He can survive this attack. That is like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
whoa,
6,
why
7,
is the
8, 9,
Sphinx
10,
getting in there? Oh, that was a punt.
It's possible we're just missing something completely. But I think you can just...
No, it's Xaxes. The Sphinx gets blocked by a dark because he has to make the guy before it blocks. That's what it is. It's exactly. Otherwise, he needs one more blocker than he has because he has to tap
3,
the knight
4,
and
5,
sack the Hexmage before block.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15... I think, yeah, it's 16 damage.
If Brian bosses the swords, he wins. If he doesn't,
He doesn't. He drew the charm away.
Yeah.
There might be another line of play he can take. What if he blocks the 2 Ichorids, he's still dead, or if he blocks...
He wants to block the zombie tokens.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it's still 17 damage. He can block 3, find Mazavith.
Exactly. He can block.
Caracas, maybe.
The Sphinx Robochrome is not a legend.
That's not a legend. I mean, he can survive the turn, but I don't know if he can win from that position. Unless
I think he gets Mazavith.
he can get
and
Mazavith.
sacks the Hexmage, and then next turn gets the Bajuka Bog going. Maybe he can win then. I don't know the numbers though.
The other guy stretches really early. Like, I think that if he just gets dark depths on 2, he has...
Oh man. Yeah, I think Nick's got this one. I think the game has progressed in a really interesting fashion. I think if Brian had just sacrificed that Hexmage to make sure the tokens didn't come back.
I think
he'd be
Brian made a
fine.
few judgment calls that ended up turning out to be wrong. Maybe not getting the Dark Depths on 2. Maybe I don't know. Maybe sacking the Hexmage that turn and just going for the lock the next turn.
Yeah, I mean either way. Ugh, wow. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the end for Brian Boss.
Oh, actually, the cards were explained to Nicholas, the owner of the cards. Wow. The foreign cards. Yeah, this looks.
Yeah, so Mazavith's the Sphinx and blocks some other stuff. So Brian will survive this turn, but I don't know what he's going for. 3 zombie tokens.
He goes to 2 life off this attack.
3 zombie tokens die. I'm looking over his deck list, seeing if there's anything he can draw here. He can swords his own guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Depending on how big a knight is, he could draw swords. Swords his own knight, gain some life after blocking, make a 20/20.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be his out.
Yeah.
I don't see it any other way. What did he draw? Or he hasn't drawn yet, I guess. Is Nick's turn even finished? There's no way, right?
Cabal Therapy.
Alright, Cabal Therapy. You know his last card is
Life in the Law.
Life in the Low. We get some zombie tokens.
Yeah.
Reveals a Savannah, I believe.
Oh. Yeah, that was the other card. So, yeah, I don't know if Brian Boss can win this match from here.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I mean, if you draw swords, I don't know how big that knight is, but
Or the Gorik either of the
I mean, you might be able to gain a little bit of life. All right, well, let's see what Brian draws.
I think he had a dredge there.
What if you're out of swords? Why would you?
Oh yeah, you have to draw swords. Oh, that's so awkward because you need swords and loam. I keep forgetting the loam's no longer in his hand for the Cabal Therapy. Yeah.
I mean, why do you need a loom?
To to Bajuka Bogging again this turn, so you don't die to Icarids.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that.
It looks pretty grim.
Yes. Grim is the correct statement.
Yes.
I think Brian is thinking about how he's going to finagle his way out of this one. And I don't think he's going to come up with an answer he's going to find favorable.
Yeah.
And that's it. Nicholas Rausch takes it to the finals.
Manaless Dredge.
Manaless Dredge into the finals versus Caleb Super Fair Aquarium deck. Man. Wow. I feel like Brian probably just made a couple small judgment call errors there.
Yeah.
I mean, he made some judgment calls that didn't work in his favor.
Yeah. It was, maybe he decided to go for Dark Depths, or instead of removing the bridges, maybe he decided to go for... I think the problem was that his early decision was that Dark Depths wasn't good enough, and that didn't align with his later decision that Dark Depths was what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think he just had to choose one plan and stick to